I want to start by telling you something I've thought about for a long time. It's not easy to put into words, because it's not just about a simple choice. It's deeper than that. Something that has quietly shaped the way I see the world and myself. When I think about everything I could have held on to, everything I could have reached for, I realized there was only one thing that felt right, only one thing that made sense in the middle of all the noise and confusion of life. And that's why I chose you. I didn't choose you because it was convenient, or because it made sense on paper. I didn't choose you because someone told me to, or because I thought it would make others happy. I chose you because in some quiet, invisible way, you felt like the part of me that I had been searching for all along, something that had been missing without me even noticing it. I can't describe it perfectly, but I know the feeling. You brought calm to my restless mind, even when nothing else in the world seemed certain or stable. And in that uncertainty, that chaos, you became the one thing that felt undeniably true. I think about all the other options I had. The distractions, the excitement, the things that spark curiosity or seem important in the moment. I think about how easy it could have been to follow any of those paths, because they were bright and shiny, promising immediate satisfaction or approval. But none of them called me in the same way. None of them spoke to the quiet corners of my heart, where real meaning grows. There's a difference between something that looks like it could matter, and something that quietly, without fanfare, changes the way you understand yourself. You did that for me. You changed the way I look at the world, and the way I look at myself. You made the impossible feel possible, not by doing anything grand, but simply by existing in the way that only you can. It's strange to admit, but even now, I find it hard to fully explain why I didn't choose anything else. There were so many things screaming for attention, so many paths I could have taken, yet none of them felt like the right home for my heart. Sometimes I think the hardest part of choosing you wasn't what I gained, but what I left behind. I left behind comfort and certainty. I left behind easy excitement, and the temporary warmth of things that shine for a moment and then fade. I left behind parts of life that were safe, parts that promised recognition or applause. And I left them behind because deep down I realized that safety and applause would never fill the same space that you did. You were never flashy or loud. You were never obvious or easy. And that's exactly why I chose you. I chose you because I recognized the quiet truth that nothing else could ever match. Because I realized that the loudest voices, the brightest lights, the easiest paths, they all led somewhere temporary. Only you, in your subtle way, led me somewhere lasting, somewhere that felt like it might actually belong to me. I've spent nights thinking about this, lying awake and trying to sort through the reasons, trying to understand myself better. And what I keep returning to is this feeling that when all is said and done, when the noise of life fades and the world quiets, you are the one thing I don't want to lose. You are the memory I carry, even when I can't reach for it. The feeling that lingers when everything else has passed. And that's why I chose you. I chose you because every other choice, no matter how shiny or exciting it seemed at the time, always felt empty compared to you. Even in moments of doubt or fear. Even when life threatened to pull me in different directions. Something inside me would whisper that none of it mattered as much as this. That whisper became louder over time, until I realized it was no longer a choice. It was the only choice I could make without betraying myself. There's a strange beauty in realizing that what matters most isn't always visible. People often talk about choosing things that are big or obvious or dramatic. But the truth is, the things that truly matter are quiet. They don't demand attention. They don't promise recognition. They don't boast about their value. They just exist. And somehow, without explanation, they make all the difference. That's what you are. You exist in a way that fills the spaces other things never reach. You are not a loud joy, but a deep one. Not a passing thrill, but a constant, and choosing you didn't feel like a decision at first. It felt more like remembering something I had always known but had forgotten. Like finding the part of myself that had been waiting for a place to belong. I can't pretend this was simple. Choosing you meant accepting uncertainty. Choosing you meant questioning everything else I thought I wanted and admitting that it was not enough. Choosing you meant embracing vulnerability, because it's impossible to fully care about something this deeply without opening yourself to pain. And yet, even knowing that, even knowing how fragile and unpredictable life can be, I couldn't choose anything else. Every alternative suddenly seemed smaller, quieter, less alive when I compared it to the weight of what you bring. And in that realization, something shifted. I understood that life is not measured by what looks exciting or successful to others, but by the things that touch your soul, that change the way you see the world, that quietly, insistently, insist that you notice them. I often wonder if other people understand what it means to choose something like this, to choose a presence, a feeling, a truth, over everything else. To understand that some things are bigger than convenience, bigger than temporary comfort, bigger than the voices that shout and push and promise. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's not about winning or losing. It's about listening to the part of yourself that knows the difference between noise and meaning. And in listening to that part of myself, I heard you. You were there, quietly, patiently, without needing to justify yourself. And in that quiet, I found the loudest truth of all, that this is the thing that matters. The thing I could not walk away from even if I tried. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully explain all the ways you've shaped me or all the reasons I chose you. Some of it will always stay inside, unspoken, private, because it is too intimate, too subtle to be captured by words. But I hope that even in this imperfect way, I can give you a glimpse of it. I can tell you that it was not a decision made lightly or casually. I can tell you that every step, every thought, every moment that led me here was filled with reflection, doubt, and recognition. I can tell you that in a world full of distractions, full of things that glitter and fade, full of paths that promise more than they can give, you became my choice, my anchor, my quiet certainty. Even now, I carry this feeling with me like a secret, like a gentle flame that refuses to go out. And when I pause and think about it, I realize that choosing you was never about being right or clever or strong. It was about being honest, about listening to the part of myself that finally understood what truly matters. And that honesty is something I can never take back, something I can never regret. I could have chosen differently. I could have followed what seemed easier or more obvious. But then I would have missed this, the depth, the meaning, the quiet, unwavering truth that I found in you. That's why I chose you. That's why in the middle of everything, I chose the thing that felt like home, even when I didn't fully understand it. And maybe, in the end, that's what life is really about. Not the choices that seem impressive or bold, but the ones that quietly transform us, that touch our hearts and shift our understanding of what matters. You were that choice for me. You were the silent force that made everything else seem smaller and less urgent. You were the memory I carry, the feeling I hold, the truth I cannot deny. And I know without a doubt that I will continue to carry you with me, in every thought, in every quiet moment, in every reflection on who I am and what I truly value. So, if someone asks why I didn't choose anything else, why I didn't take the easier path or follow the brighter lights, I can only say this: I chose you. Not for recognition, not for approval, not for comfort or convenience. I chose you because you spoke to the part of me that nothing else could reach. You became the center in the chaos, the calm in the storm, the truth in the noise. And in choosing you, I finally understood something I had been searching for all my life, that some things are worth more than all else, that some presences are irreplaceable, that some choices are not really choices at all, but realizations. And this realization, this quiet knowing, is why I chose you, and why, even after all the questions and doubts, I would choose you again. This is why, when I reflect on my life, when I think about the paths I could have taken and the doors I could have opened, I don't feel regret. I don't feel doubt. I feel gratitude for the patience, the quiet persistence, the unseen way you made your presence felt. I feel a kind of awe for the simple, undeniable truth that sometimes the most important choice isn't obvious, isn't loud, isn't applauded. It is quiet, it is subtle, it is a whisper in the dark that insists you notice it. And I noticed you. That's why I chose you. And I will carry that choice with me always. As I continue thinking about this choice, I realize how slowly it happened. It was not a sudden moment where everything became clear. It was built over time through small realizations, quiet moments, and long silences where I sat with myself and listened. Life kept offering me many directions, many reasons to change my mind, many chances to turn away. But each time, I noticed something important. No matter where my thoughts went, no matter how far I tried to imagine another path, they always found their way back to you. Not because I forced them to, but because that was where they naturally belonged. You became the place my mind returned to when everything else felt heavy or confusing. And that return was gentle, not demanding. It didn't pressure me or rush me. It simply waited, steady and patient, until I was ready to understand what it meant. I remember moments when I questioned myself deeply. I asked whether I